So we had a very undecadent day yesterday. I'd say a very wholesome day. A day of wholesome pleasures of nature and connection and play and being in the lake and eating good food together and doing acro yoga. At the end of yesterday, I was like, I want my life to be like this. You know what I mean? I was like, this nourished me very deeply. So I've been talking about decadence as the context or week for what we're doing. I hope it starts to make sense. So, people become weak, so therefore they become addicted, they're hedonistic, people are often lonely, they're lacking connection to themselves, to community, to other people, to nature, they feel lost. I did some coaching with Danny on purpose work. People also become self-obsessed because it's like if you have no God, you become God. Yeah? If you have no community, all your attention's on yourself. If you're deeply in community, whether, it could be a mix of in-person, online, whatever, but if you're deeply in community, your attention is on how is Jane, how is John, how are my children, how are my niece and nephew. My attention is not, am I looking good? Yeah? So narcissism is when we don't have community. It's one of the ones I've talked about least, but you'll see this in the world. When you take away the other stuff, people come back on themselves. Not so healthy. So you can sort of look at this in despair. So this talk is on the antidote to decadence. You've been doing it, none of it will be new, but this may formalize it, might help make some sense. We do not have to despair. Yesterday would have been impossible if we had to despair. I would say despair, like cynicism, is one of the traps of decadence. The lie is there's nothing you can do. The lie is it has to be this way. And again, yesterday, it didn't have to be that way. You don't believe me, you saw it, you felt it. Okay, so what do we do about all this stuff? It can look like, oh my God, what do we do? Follow me on Instagram, obviously that's what we do. But other than that, here's a really simple way of thinking about it. Decadence is just about disconnection. Okay, what are we disconnected from? Well, what do we need to reconnect to? You need to reconnect to your body, you need some kind of embodied practice. Yeah? So some people like yoga, some people like conscious dance, some people like Aikido. Take your pick. Yesterday was very easy because we'd spent several days doing embodied practice. It makes all of these make the others easier. You get virtuous cycles. You get ease with all of them. They increase the effectiveness of the others. Yeah. So because we've done embodied practice, connecting in nature was easier. Connecting to our friends was easier. And you saw, Danny and other people yesterday just connected to purpose much easier once they start with the body. The nice thing about the body is it's here. It's manifest, it's the sort of easiest one. If I said, go get community, how, what, it takes some time, it takes some effort. But the body is like, it's right here. You jump in the cold water yesterday, whoo, you're in your body. Yeah, not years of psychotherapy needed. Right, you just jump in that cold water. No one's like, I'm thinking about tomorrow. No, you're not. You're in your body. So it's accessible. We do need to connect to purpose. Some sense of, in addiction recovery, they call it higher power. Inner power would be another way of saying it if you don't like something above you. As one of my friends says in addiction recovery, you can choose your God. Anything can be God except you. All right, that's the only important thing, because otherwise that's narcissism. Now on a mystical level, you can argue that. Community, what does this look like? I think this needs to look, at least in part, in person. I don't think we can do it online. I think you can facilitate it online, you can stay connected. I have some great WhatsApp groups. I have a men's group that I meet on Zoom every week. This is great for meeting the people who really share our values. Online is fantastic because you're not the only gay in the village. Does it make sense? You can be in an online group with all the other gays in all the other villages. Do you understand the analogy? You might not be gay, you might be like super into, what's something you're super into? It's kind of geeky and obscure. What are you super into?
Hula hooping.
Say again?
Hula hooping.
Hula hooping, right. So Emily is like the only hula hoop teacher in the village we live in. We live in a little town, it's practically a village. Okay, but she can go online and meet other hula hoop teachers and geek out, and that's important. But as you learned yesterday, there is no substitute for eating together, hugging, playing, that physical contact. So for me, I've actually moved to a place where I can have some attempt to build community. I know my neighbors. Sue lives next door. Okay, I know my neighbor's dogs. There's a nice Rottweiler I see every day when I'm walking in the morning. I've made friends with this Rottweiler. Okay, it's Graham's dog. Yeah, so where you live makes a difference, and this takes work. Yeah, this takes some effort to reach out, to get offline, to go dance with people, to go eat with people. I have a regular kind of Thursday lunchtime. I meet some guys. Every Wednesday, me and Roma have a sauna. It's in the diary. Every Wednesday, there's like sitting together with someone in a sauna. We're becoming good friends. You can't do that online. Yeah, there's no substitute. We are human animals. Okay, so I've gone for what I call a blended solution of community, because not everyone I want to talk to lives in my village. Yeah. So this is worth considering. Can you do it in a city? Yes. Can you do it in a village or a small town? Yes. Okay, there's different ways to do it, but it takes some thinking about, because it's not given to us, right? It's not given to us in the same way it was to my granddad in rural Ireland, where everyone went to church on a Sunday, or yeah, to him it was given. We have to create it, okay? Because of decadence. Nature connection. Again, this is now not a given for most of us. I deliberately moved to a place where I could walk every day in the fields of England. Yeah? I tried to go to Portugal. I love Portugal. Portugal's beautiful, but I always felt like not quite at home there, right? And England is not quite as sexy, it's not quite as exotic. I'm not a digital nomad, yeah? But it's like, there's something about being in England for me, which is like my feet are on the ground. I'm not so far away from where my people come from. My name means Walsh, and Wales is just across the border from where I am. Yeah, there's something in that. Now, some of us have challenges of living abroad and being, you know, immigrants, expats, whatever. I'm not saying you have to be where you're from. I'm saying it's another challenge if you're not. It's another challenge to take on. Yeah. But nature connection, again, we might have to deliberately look for that if we live in a city. I lived in a city before where I live now, but I deliberately lived next to a big park. And that park had a little lake, and that park had trees. During COVID, me and that park became really good friends. You know, I spent a lot of time in that park. I knew it intimately, you know? So, you know, some people it's a river, in a city, it's the seaside. When I lived in Brighton, the sea was definitely part of my reconnection to nature. Swim in the sea, you feel part of nature, even if it's by a big city, you know? Okay, so we need things to reconnect to all these, and again, they're self-supportive, so the more you have community, the more it's in your body. When we're eating a meal together yesterday, you don't have to do yoga, right? You're like, you're enjoying the pasta, of course you're in your body, yeah? When you're in nature, it's much easier to be in your body. When you're in nature, you get inspired for purpose, right? Yeah? Equally, when you're in touch with your purpose, you have a reason to do your in-body practice. You have a reason to reach out to people. Okay, you have a reason to go into nature and reconnect to that on a deeper level. So this is not bad news, okay? This is good news. The good news is that there's an antidote to decadence. It's not that hard. Like, was yesterday hard work? You're laughing, right? Because it was a fucking pleasure. It's not a chore, it's not awful, yeah? So is it work? Well, sometimes a little bit to build community, a little bit to go to yoga when you're feeling like you just want to watch Netflix, right? It's a little bit of work to get out the house or sign up for a retreat or whatever. But honestly, it's a fucking pleasure. Like, it's a wholesome pleasure is the pleasure, as the Buddha said, that you should not fear. It's the pleasure which makes you stronger. It's the pleasure which makes you more resourced. Like, people were drinking a little bit last night, but nobody came in like super hungover today, right? No one's like, oh, it's up till 5 sniffing coke off a hooker's ass, and now I can't learn anything, I feel like shit, you know? Like, no one was doing that. You came in like, you know, 10 o'clock, ready to go, you look healthy. You don't look exhausted, you know? A little tired maybe, but not exhausted. So pleasure not to be feared, wholesome pleasure. Here's the other good news. Unfortunately, I've made you all more attractive in the last 5 days. I'm terribly sorry. You're going to go home and have some great sex and, you know, meet some new boyfriends and girlfriends, but also in all senses. Like, dogs run up to you. Did you notice when we were in the park yesterday doing acro and slacklining, did you see all the people looking at us? They're like, I want that. And some of them join in. Some of them are like, are you a cult? You know? Some of them are a bit stiff and they can't join in, but you can see they want to, right? Yeah. So the good news is, once you get in your body, once you spend time in nature, you will become more attractive. Okay, on all levels, like business level, you have more customers. Yeah, you notice this? You go in nature, you have a retreat, you're teaching your best. Those of you who are therapists or coaches, you get more customers. This is like, it's not bad for your business. You get more partners or better partners. You get better friends. You get more friends. People want to hang out with you. Small children and dogs want to be your friend. I steal people's dogs all the time in the park. They're on their phone, disconnected. I'm in the park in my body. The dog comes to me. I'm like, hey, I'll be your daddy now. So I give them back. So yeah, I once did a yoga festival, and it was just outside of London, and there's all these people from London there. And if you notice, people in London look 10 years older than they are. They're kind of grey-skinned. You know, they're all working 20 hours a day, sniffing coke and drinking too much, right? They look like shit. And on the first day, I was like, look at all these London people. And then 2 days later, being in nature and doing yoga, I'm like, wow, where did all these attractive people come from? 3 days later, I'm like, I want to marry everyone here. It literally took 3 days, right? And it's like they got younger, they got more attractive looking, they got more interesting. Yeah. So this is good news. This is good news. The other good news is that it's generative. So the more you do this stuff, the more you have good ideas. Yeah. Also this idea that it's self-supporting. So you'll have creative ideas. You'll be like, this is what I should do in my business. This is the direction to go in. Yeah. When you're relaxed, when you're in nature. Sometimes I do this game where I say, did I do this with you? Like, where do you have your best ideas? And I pretend I'm psychic. Because all around the world, people have their best ideas in the shower, on the toilet, or in nature. Yeah. Why? You're relaxed and in your body. If you want to be creative, have a shower. Go for a walk in the woods. This is where all people, I did this all around the world, 90% of people actually, 90%, have their best ideas when they're relaxed in their bodies. So the more we do this stuff, the more we have ideas, the more we're attractive, the more it supports itself. The more time in nature you spend, the easier embodied practice becomes. Your meditation becomes easier because you're eco-regulated. Yeah, the more you meditate, your life purpose becomes easier. The more you're on your life purpose, the more energy you have. But this is some of my family going to work. It's Monday morning. I hate my life. They've got no energy because they don't love what they do. Yeah? Like, this is the 18th day I've worked in a row. Okay? Now, I do need a day off, right? But I'm not dead. I'm not like, yeah? It's probably about time I had a weekend. But I love my job. I love what I do. Like yesterday, I'm like, this is my job. I'm watching you guys frolic in the fountain, in the waterfall. I'm thinking, this is my job. I'm not drained by it, okay? So, yeah, purpose is generative as well. Good stuff, huh? Makes sense? Okay, so how do we get out of decadence? Do we need to move to Portugal? No, we just need to find some wholesome pleasures. We need a little bit of practice. We need some practice that overcomes weakness, right? You might need 12-step or some more formal practice if you have a more formal addiction. We need some reconnection practices, some community. You need to find purpose. Self-obsession takes care of itself if you look at the others. So there's 3 things you need other than my Instagram. Okay? The 3 things you need, I would say, are the 3 Ps. People, place, and practice. Yeah. You don't need to spend millions on a therapist. You don't need to go take ayahuasca in Brazil. You can if you want, but you don't need to. You need people. You need friends. I encourage you to swap details with each other. Yeah, to meet online, to meet in person. Those of you in Zagreb, those of you in Slovenia, make some effort. Yeah, have dinner once a week. Like me and Roma have a sauna once a week, right? Make some effort. Put it in your diary. Yeah. I find what really works is a regular slot. So I have an online community for experienced embodiment teachers. You have to have 20 years practice to join. Okay, so it has to be online because there's just not so many people like that in my village. Yeah, but every Monday 6 p.m. it's in the diary. Yeah, every Monday 6 p.m. it's there. I don't think about it. It's just there. Yeah, me and Roma 1 p.m. every Wednesday. I'm in her sauna. Yeah, it's like we don't think about it. If one of us is away, we miss a week. No big deal. So I think what's really helpful is just having a regular thing. Okay, a regular thing in the diary. Yeah, every Wednesday in Brighton, I used to do 5 rhythms. Every Wednesday, 8 till 10. Okay. So regular stuff where you meet people regularly, online or in person. Place. This is the hardest one. So place is like where you have the least leverage, as it were, but it's one of the most powerful. So place is like seriously consider where you live. Do you live in fucking Babylon? You know what I mean by Babylon, man? Babylon is like the symbol of decadence. So Babylon is like, it's too far gone. Berlin to me is Babylon. You know, San Francisco is Babylon. It's too far gone. It's like you're just going uphill. Yeah. So there's in a Buddhist mythology, I think it's called the Kali. No, that's hello in Greek. Kali Yuga. So there's in Buddhist philosophy, cycles, civilizations become decadent, and then it's too hard to get enlightened. You know, they say in the Buddhist time, everyone got enlightened like this. The Buddha would just be like, hey, and people were like, shit, I'm enlightened. Okay, so the conditions were such. And then the conditions changed, the society became decadent, it became too hard to become enlightened. So at that point, what happens in Buddhism is that you go off into the forest. So you saw this in Thai Buddhism. Thai Buddhism became very decadent, very much about society and money and power. And then some Thai Buddhists went off into the forests and they created what was called the forest Sangha. In their case, it was literally in the forest. It could be a commune, it could be like a hippie commune, it could be like you all move to a certain town. Frome is a bit like this. People from London coming to where I live go, you know what, fuck London, let's live somewhere nice, where there's healthy people and healthy attitude. So who thinks they live somewhere that's sort of redeemable, it's workable? Like to me, Slovenia is workable. You don't need to go live in a commune if you live in Slovenia. Who lives somewhere sort of redeemable? Frome, where I live, Switzerland maybe. Yeah. Who lives somewhere that's like kind of Babylon? You think, borderline. So we can create our villages within a city, right? The village is who you know, the village is not where you live. Yeah. Like a lot of women where I live are like doing parenting stuff together, you know, they're effectively being each other's sisters, aunties, sisters. Yeah. So there's ways we can create the village within the decadent city. Sometimes we have to move though. Like I was in Brighton and I just went, this has gone too far. I remember one time I walked down the street, I walked past 7 homeless people openly using hard drugs, and it was 6 in the evening. And I walked by 7 different people shouting. And I went, God love them, I hope they get some help, but no fucking way I'm raising children here. Make sense? And I just went, I'm out, I'm done. Yeah? There's other things I could say about Brighton or Berlin or San Francisco. You know, it's like a lot of people know they were in San Francisco, they moved to Austin because they wanted some fresh start. Yeah. So it's not for me to say, you decide. But do you know when you're in Babylon? You know when you're in a place where you go, this has gone too fucking far. I'm not sending my children to that school. They'll come out with a drug addiction and 7 genders, right? You know what I mean? Like you were telling me about some things in Croatia even, yeah, surprised me, but I was like, well, not sure I'd send my kids to that school. Okay? So you decide where that line is for you. We have different beliefs, we have different things that are important. But for me, I had that moment in Brighton where I just went, I'm not living here anymore. This is ridiculous. Yeah? So if you live in Babylon, you might need to move. If you live in semi-Babylon, you might need to sort of create your own version. And the other thing is there's no paradise. There's no over there. Like in Portugal, I saw a lot of people trying to make, you know, some perfect world. But of course, they bring their problems with them. Okay? Community is not easy. Like hardcore community is not easy. Yeah, personally for me, it's too much. I don't want 2-hour meetings about who ate whose cheese. Like it's too much. Yeah. Place is also like I deliberately moved to a place in Frome by the river, by the fields. If I was living on the other end of town, I wouldn't be in nature so much. Okay, there's an industrial estate you could live. It's not the same, even just 2 miles away. It's where you know, do you get access to the park? You know, how do you set up your day so you're walking to work instead of getting on the train and surrounded by commuters who are fucking miserable? Yeah, do you take a job that needs a commute, right? So place is not just like what country you live, it's how you set up your life. How you set up your home. Does your home encourage embodiment? Like I have a picture of me and my dad, or me and my mentor. I look at those pictures, it reconnects me to purpose, right? I have beauty in my home. It's an important thing. Like we have flowers even at the Airbnb we're staying at, right? I spend money on those flowers. So I want to bring nature into the home. We have a lot of plants where I live in Frome. It's like, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, right? Most of my plants are from friends. You know, some small cutting and put it in. It's nice. Brings nature into the house. So is your place ordered, beautiful, and natural? You know, there's a reason Buddhist monks don't live surrounded by pizza boxes. You go to a Buddhist monastery, it's fucking beautiful. It's beautiful, it's ordered, there's plants, it's art, it's really nice. It's not a shithole. You know? Who thinks they live somewhere that supports embodiment, purpose? Also community, right? You have a nice house, people want to come. You know, Roma has a sauna. I'm coming round. You know, you have some food on. You have food on. People come to your house. You know, the smell of bread. That's attractive. Yeah. Student accommodation with the bin overflowing with garbage. You're not going to get community. People don't want to come around. People place, last of all, the thing we have the most leverage from, actually the least important, but the most, you know what I mean by leverage? It's the thing we can change easiest, is practice, okay? So most important people, then place, then practice, but easiest to change, practice, then people, then place. So practice is our embodied practice. I really recommend you have an awareness practice like meditation, some kind of a social practice, some kind of a practice with other people, like conscious dance, tango, aikido, acro. These are different categories. Yeah, awareness practice, personal practice. Some kind of anti-decadence practice. Pleasure doesn't have to be a practice, but you need to incorporate pleasure. If you don't have wholesome pleasure, you will seek unwholesome pleasure. So this isn't like some, oh, you have to be austere and live like a monk. No sex, no pizza, nothing ever again. We can still eat pasta and have a good time. Yeah? We need something not to be weak. Okay, so you need some practice that's not just pleasurable, but it's difficult. That will become a pleasure in its own right. Like, I'm in the cold water, but I can handle it. You know, I had my cold shower this morning. Took 2 minutes. Okay, so I'm not going to a waterfall once a year. I'm having a cold shower every day. Is it as good as the waterfall? No. No. Is it good enough? Yes. Yeah? I had my cold shower this morning. Yeah? Not theoretical. It's every morning. It's not every morning. It's 5 or 6 times a week. About once a week, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah? You get to have a bit of humanity. So you need something that doesn't make you weak. So in a moment, we're going to coach each other and challenge each other a little bit. What's your practice that makes you strong? Practice means it's regular. It's not, I have kids and a hard job. It's not a practice. Okay, that's too consequential. It's not controllable. It needs to be non-consequential and controllable and recurrent. Okay, you can't tell your kids to be 20% less annoying. You can turn your shower to be 20% more or less cold. Yeah, you need to get in that sweet spot that's difficult but not traumatizing. If I just hit you with a stick, that's not making you tougher, that's just making you traumatized. Okay, unless you're like Ranko and you're used to being hit with a stick and he's like, bring it on. Who's got that leather belt? I saw like a really nice leather belt here the other day. No, leather belt? None of you wearing it today? I saw it on the side. I was hitting myself with it, right? And so I'm like, it's like that. And I'm not doing that to like punish myself, like I'm a bad person, you know, like, I've been thinking about girls again. I was doing it because for me, it's like a nice shock. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna damage myself. There's no marks on my back, I don't think even, right? But it's like, whew. No, but you know, I've done a lot of practice. So for me, I need quite a strong stimulus, yeah? And I'm kinky, no, I wasn't getting turned on by it. So for you, it might need to be quite a strong practice. Yeah, like Ranko, can I borrow you? Can we do a little bit of punching? Yep. Can I give you a little bit of a punch here? Yep. Okay. Yeah. So he's used to martial arts, right? So we can do a little bit of punching work. You okay? Yep. Bit more? Yep. Yeah. How's that? That's a good one. Yeah, good one. Yeah. Right level? Too much? Too little? About the right. So it's not abuse, right? I'm not just fucking him up, right? It's about right. So we found the right level. Yeah. Still breathing. Give Ranko some love. That's a real Croatian man. These European pussies. So for him, that's what he needs. He needs quite a strong stimulus. Some of you are looking at me like terrified now, right? I'm not going to do that to anyone. For you, it might be just a little bit of yoga, right? Stand on one leg, okay? Do warrior pose. Yeah? Anything difficult, okay? Have a cold shower. So you need something difficult or else you'll become increasingly weak because our life is too easy. Okay? Why do you not want to be weak? Because sooner or later you will have cancer, your mother will die, or one of your children will become ill, and at that point you better hope you're not weak. Yeah? So the problem with modern life is it sort of fools us, like, life is easy. You ever seen someone die of cancer? Not a good time. Anyone spoken at a parent's funeral? I gave my dad's eulogy. Not a good time. Yeah? So no matter how much cappuccino and, you know, nice holidays and blood we have, sooner or later life's gonna come for you. Life is gonna fucking hunt you down, and you better hope you have a practice at that point. Make sense? Yeah? Hedonism says, life's great, life's nice. Not always, okay? Develop a practice before you need it. Enjoy the pleasure, enjoy the pasta, enjoy the waterfalls, enjoy your friends. Sooner or later though, you're gonna get a hit. This is not the worst hit he's had in his life. Yeah? Makes sense? Okay, so in the talk, let's do a little coaching. I want you to coach your partner, and this might involve challenging them. Coach your partner on what's their practice that makes them stronger. If they don't have one, see if you can help them develop one. Really important thing with coaching, don't let them get away with bullshit and get specific. I want you to come out of the 10 minutes with a promise. Not, let me tell you the bullshit ladder. I'm gonna try to do some yoga. I might do cold showers. I'd really like to do cold showers. I totally need to do cold showers. None of that's relevant. That's all bullshit. Like, try, need, good. There is no try. The words I want to hear are I will, or I commit. It's a definite promise. It's not I commit to try. It's like I commit to cold shower at least 4 days a week. Could be 5, could be 6, but at least 4. So it's very concrete. It's not, yeah, I'm gonna be more strong. How? I want to hear the how. Make sense? Okay, so kick each other's ass a little bit. Let's see if we can coach each other into a really sustainable, realistic, but strong practice to build some strength, some discipline. Cool? Okay, go to work.